Thanks for listening to Morning Edition on this Monday morning here on WCBU. I'm Ryan Denham. A Republican state lawmaker is joining Central Illinois law enforcement in calling for changes to the state's cashless bail system. But Democrats and advocates want to wait for more data before making a decision. WCBU State House reporter Evan Holden has the story.
Republican State Representative Dennis Tipsworth wants to see changes to how domestic violence charges are handled in court. Tipsworth represents a rural area north of Peoria and Bloomington-Normal, and he is a Woodford County Deputy Sheriff running to be the county's top law enforcement officer. He introduced a bill shifting the burden of proof regarding the pretrial detention in cases involving domestic violence and orders of protection.
And the defendant would have to talk to that judge and tell that judge that they are not a threat to society and they are not a flight risk.
The Pretrial Fairness Act got rid of cash bail in Illinois. Under the law, prosecutors must file a detention order for all felony domestic violence cases and protective order violations. Instead of prosecutors proving a defendant should be detained, it would be on the defendant to prove that he or she shouldn't. Despite this sounding like guilty until proven innocent, Tipsworth suggests his bill is constitutional because it would still be up to the judge to make the final decision.
It's no different than we had bond in the past, right? A judge decided what your bond was. So no, not at all, because it has nothing to do with guilt or innocence.
Tipsworth says he has concerns that the Pretrial Fairness Act is not detaining people who are a potential flight risk. He adds this can use court resources that not every county has.
That courtroom is still tied up, waiting for this defendant to walk in for that court date, and they don't show up. So we've just wasted all that time, all that resource, tied up that courtroom for nothing.
Others are adopting a wait-and-see posture before supporting changes to the pretrial detention. Democratic State Representative Jahan Gordon Booth from Peoria says cashless bonds have not changed the system overall.
You had a lot of men prior to this act that were able to buy their freedom, regardless of their heinous crimes towards their partner, towards their spouse, towards their children.
Gordon Booth says the Pretrial Fairness Act gives more authority to judges to determine if someone should be detained.
In this system, what we're saying is that we are going to trust the judges to make a determination about detainment, not wealth.
But legislators determined which offenses are detainable and which are not. Gordon Booth says she is still waiting for more data before supporting a bill to change the Pretrial Fairness Act. And those collecting the data also say it is too early to tell what the law's impact have been. David Olson from the Loyola Center of Criminal Justice says judges spend more time on each case.
The prosecutor and the defense attorney would raise issues, and the judge would generally, state a dollar amount without any detailed explanation about why they were picking that dollar amount.
Olson says several domestic violence charges are eligible for detainment. Counties initially saw their jail numbers go down after passing the Pretrial Fairness Act, but have since increased back to before the law was passed. That's been true for McLean County, with a greater proportion of detainees accused of serious violent crimes. Madeline Baer is the Deputy Director of Policy at the network. She says there needs to be more focus on the implementation of the Pretrial Fairness Act, but there does not need to be any changes to the language of the law.
We changed parts of that statute. We didn't change the ability for police officers to continue investigating violations. We need a cultural shift in how they approach those survivors.
Baer says the police need to do more investigations into protection orders when they are violated. Baer says the implementation can vary depending on the county because prosecutors, judges, and police investigations are what decide if a person is detained. I'm Evan Holden.
And I'm Ryan Denham. You're listening to Morning Edition on WCBU, Peoria Public Radio.